I'm on the Portneuf River, and there he is.
That's nice.
Mink.
Looking at that, getting that nice bridge.
It's a fast little mink.
I haven't seen one in years.
Really fast.
Oh, he's posing
There you
for
go,
it.
man. Let's just enjoy them while they're here. Okay, I'm at Beaver Bend. I've seen 3 beavers so far. 2 of them just went around this bend, and I'm gonna try to see if I can get body shots. Cross my fingers, I'm gonna put it on the little camera. So it just popped out of its den. It looks like it's gonna head downriver. It's probably gonna go into the primary spot.
Out because we were talking, you know. Went up on the bank casually, no sense of fear, felt at ease.
Yeah, it's
And it's experienced beaver. He learned from maybe smells, maybe people, maybe their voices, all those things. And they may have a very good memory. In fact, I think they do. Species like that tend to have a good memory.
okay. I think the other one's getting ready to come out. You can watch the water where they're underneath. So I'm gonna switch from Lorax to the beaver. The beaver's gonna, you can see it underneath the water. Well, you can see the water. And I'm positive an animal's gonna pop up out of it. Well, I'm not positive, but I'm guessing it.
Well, other issues, what are they doing? He's not carrying anything.
Well, one of them was, but I have caught him on video when I've gone to and reviewed it, and they will carry something down into the den. But what are they doing under there? Are they excavating?
That would be a den, that big tree there. I'm sure that's an extensive den.
Well, I'm positive. You're right. But I don't know if that's like, I think this one will come out and go back to the other den spot and stay at the family. I think this is just like a safety den.
Wouldn't know.
Yeah, me either, but that's what I'm guessing. Okay, Lorax is gonna try to prove to me that if you talk to beavers and if you
Might
make
not be,
noise,
they gotta learn.
they won't tail splash you. So let's
He's
see.
gotten farther than he has before. He's just cruising. He sees us here. He knows their environment.
Yeah.
Look at that. Even looking back again, getting better.
Now he's getting ready to tail splash you though.
No, he may be. He's coming this way. Who are these idiots here?
Yeah, he's gonna come tail
Come on,
splash
come on,
Lorax.
come on. Now let's go. Maybe I want to go over to my little area that I was just standing in. Yeah. Yeah, come on. Keep going, keep going. Just go right over there. I want to see you crawl out. Come on. Yeah, come on, let me see you crawl out. I want to see you climb up that bank. Come
Yeah,
on. Show me,
there's a
show me.
beaver
Come
and
on.
climb up that bank, bro.
Yeah, come on.
You
Climb
wanna
up the
get like
bank.
some
No,
body
that's good.
size.
That's a good boy. That's a good boy.
Come on.
John's doing a hunt now. Checking this all out here. No splash.
Bit more.
He's headed for the den. He's going down
Yeah, I told you, I think that's a safety zone. This is their spot where they go in for the...
He's going under somewhere. Under that big tree.
No, that's where they're
That
dead.
one there?
Yeah, that's
I
where...
bet there's another one there too. The other one?
Yeah. So why is it, Idaho, that you think that the beaver, when we're talking to them when they're coming down, they don't tail splash you, but like you said, if like you're standing there, you're hidden, and you're quiet, and they see you, it gets that emergency response, so to speak, that splash.
I think that's quite common. A lot of animals, you spook anything, it's going to react. Sudden change, didn't know, but if it knows you're there, hears you, sees you, and it's watching you, and it can make a judgment call on your behavior. Like we're watching its behavior, it's watching our behavior. And in that case, of just continually talking to it, even though it's not necessarily, understanding maybe what I'm saying, but the fact that I'm in contact with it, we're both communicating. I mean, in a way, he's not talking, but he's watching, observing, and I'm watching it, seeing how it's behaving. So that's what I mean by communicating to me. Its behavior, its security issues, but I'm not spooking it. I'm jumping up and yelling. I'm not doing anything. It's gonna be out of the really abnormal, and I don't look like a predator that it probably knows in its realm.
Because it did swim down, it did see us, it did turn so it could view us. And after it turned, it went under, it didn't splash us, and it came out a safe distance away. But you're right, it didn't tail splash us. We weren't a threat to it. But when I was up closer, I don't know if it was that, I don't think it was that same animal. This one seemed a little bigger than the one that splashed me up there. We'll have to look at the film.
If you're a little child, you better teach people not to be overly secure with strangers. Let's put it that way. It's a learning experience. So a young one should be more cautious. And a mother would be cautious with her kids. Or parents.
So now, can you were talking to me earlier off camera about tattooing beaver tails. What could you tell me? Well, this is going on locally?
I only just found this out information the other day. Apparently somebody had been doing some tattooing on live trap beaver for putting markings on them, on the tail. They're bright colors or something, but somehow they use in tracking or identifying of animals. And we're encouraging people to study the beaver here in the Lawrence Beaver Wildlife Refuge. So I'm looking forward to finding out exactly who. I just know the tattoo artist that did it, that did the tattooing. So I'll make sure, I'm not really an advocate of just live trapping beaver because that's a traumatic experience. Wish there was other ways sometimes, and maybe there is, or there are to some extent, but whoever is doing it is at least marking the animal, not cutting it up and eating it or anything like that.
To do that, you probably have to get a permit from Idaho Fish and Game to live trap.
Maybe, I would assume so. Said I would put in for a live trap just for the sake of protecting the beaver. Again, study. That's not like we don't know a lot about beaver, but if people are assessing the beaver activity here, populations or numbers, yeah, we have a lot. There's a lot of unanswered questions we really like to know. We know there's dens, an enormous number of dens along the river here through Pocatello Valley. It just blows my mind when we go to a place that, there's a den every 30 feet or a den in every one of these trees under it. We'd really like to get a handle on numbers and how efficient this is as a beaver nursery.
And just because there's den doesn't mean that they reside in those den sites. I think this is my opinion, but I think that it would be a mistake to think that there's a large beaver population along the Portneuf River. Do I think that there's a population that's a resident population? I would say without doubt. I've filmed them long enough to say that there are some who believe that these are transient beavers heading upstream. Well, I don't believe that at all. I think they're a resident population. They stay here because they're safer here than in the mountains. They stay here because there's more water, more food. They're less exposed.
Well, let's compare it with a beaver dam, an upland beaver. He's got to make a dam. He's got to constantly work on that dam to maintain it. He's constantly trying to build a lodge, and that's a lot of work and a lot of material. What are they doing with the same amount of time here? They're not necessarily building a lodge. That's a lot less common. And so they're digging dens. That's part of their activity in the night, right? Is whip out a couple of dens for storage, for safety.
Well, and I think the dens are already here. Historically, it's kind of like the Anastasis. Those dens are built. People could go rehabilitate because they're built. Now, one of the things to think about here too is why these beavers don't build lodges and why beavers up in the mountains aren't building lodges anymore. One, lodges, it's a dead giveaway that this is where you're at, this is where you're going to go to sleep at night.
Issue, yeah.
And pretty dang easy for a trapper or someone to go set you up there. And so this is my opinion that I think the beavers that have built lodges are getting killed out. And so the ones that are surviving are den beavers. Beavers that build dens, live in banks,
learning experience, wouldn't it not? It would be like if you destroy, a house you made of straw, easily, and you might, after a while, you say, I think I'm going to build my house out of maybe bricks or something. Or if it keeps burning down, it's a natural selection taking place by hunting, and it's been going on a long time, trapping beaver in the uplands. So sure, there's beaver living in the rivers that are den builders. It's probably in their genes anyways. They always build a den, even when they're constructing the ponds and lodges. And so it's just an adaptation for survival. They might make it so they don't build dams or lodges anymore. They still might build dams, but they might not build the lodge, and there is a relationship between the lodge and the dam. In other words, it's to form a pond to be safe in its entrance.
See, and these beavers down here on this river, they don't build dams. There's no evidence of them building dams anywhere along the river here. And back east, we've seen when, like Idaho argues it's too big, back east, there's creeks that are as big as the Portneuf River. There's rivers that are bigger than the Portneuf River where beavers build 100-foot, 200, 500, extensive, huge dams. So I don't necessarily buy that it's too big.
It's related to water flow. What you consider a big stream back there, I have roots back there and study the beaver in the east. They don't. They may make channels in the Mississippi River areas. They make big channels where even boats can go. That's for them to navigate and get around themselves and move logs and materials for their lodges and other activity.
In the east, no, really, they'll take any little stream, and there are not all that many big streams. There's Connecticut River or something like that, or the Hudson, but they don't dam on those things. The little teeny streams, you can find areas where they will make extensive dams. I mean, I've seen them over a mile long, and several of them, but that's because they stored enough water. The water is retained longer, and those streams actually have better water flow because there's been more captured from the winter snow.
Now here's another thing to think about is if, say, there were animals in the river and you moved them from this river system to a stream system, are they going to be adapted to dam building? And I'd say that more than likely yes, because they're beavers. And that's the thing that we don't want to say is that there's different species of beaver. A beaver's a beaver. Just because they live in the river doesn't mean they couldn't go live in the mountains and couldn't flourish in the mountains. But it could be harder for them. I mean, if they've been here for generations, which I'm sure they have.
You see the same things happening in Scotland and Europe with the spreading return of the beaver. Now, the beavers are living in the river. They're making dens, but in the small tributaries, they are doing what beaver do. They're capturing the water, they're making their dams, making the marshes, they're purifying the water, and people are very quickly learning this has all been beneficial for them and their area and their water, because they have, even though they haven't had beaver maybe for 70 years or even longer, maybe 100, 200 years in some places, they're quickly learning that the beaver are highly beneficial to the ecosystem and the diversity in those areas, and they're becoming pro-beaver. $250,000.
I'm on the Portneuf River, and there he is.
Yeah, that's nice. Look at that. You're getting that nice bridge.